On your Twitter were two posts that blew.
I just posted it and it blew up very crazy. It brought me one big client and he referred me to another client. So if you want to put it into numbers, like 30 to 40k in euros. Yeah, there were like two indie hackers who had a fake account. I found it out and I exposed them in public. That's why a lot of people call me like detective, or used to call me detective.
Here we go.
I already heard like horror stories. It was very late, maybe 4 a.m. There was no one on the street, and then a police car came. They saw me. It was horrible.
Could you share your profits?
The best months are in revenue.
Let me introduce you Janu, who is a very active member of Buildinpublic community, and he's well known on Twitter. And I'm really glad to have you there. So hi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I think that this is the second time we have a talk, but the very first time, I think it was a month or 2 months ago, and it was more informal. So this is also informal, but this is recorded for YouTube channel. So maybe some people are not aware who you are, but I think it's impossible because everybody knows you. Could you introduce yourself? What is your background and what is your previous experience? Just something a little bit about your personality.
Sure. I'm an agency founder and a tech entrepreneur. I also used to be a product manager. I just quit a few weeks ago to go full time into entrepreneurship. I have a technical background. I studied computer science. I was a programmer. And yeah, now I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that sounds cool because I've been stalking your journey for several months, maybe 1 year, because I started to be more active on Twitter the last year. And two things that I noticed on your Twitter were two posts that blew. And the first one was about a localhost, because I think that one of your friends wanted to have your opinion on her website, and she sent you localhost link, and you weren't able to open it. And the second post was something like investigation of the fake account of one user. So could you please share these stories?
Sure. The first one, it was just a genuine interaction. It was funny. It was also frustrating because it was just not a friend. It was a university assignment, so I had to access it, and I just posted it, and it blew up very crazy. I wasn't expecting it. I think it was like night, and I posted at 8 p.m. maybe. I went to sleep, and the next day I had like 300 or 400 new subscribers. I had like a few booked meetings in my calendar for my agency. It actually started my whole entrepreneurship like seriously. Before it was a hobby, and from that tweet on, it was like serious. I had big clients, and they all came because this tweet blew up. It was on the start page of Reddit. It was in different like on websites, like online magazines, like the BuzzFeed kind of websites, and on like programmer humor websites. It was everywhere. A lot of people thought it's fake or staged, but it was very genuine. It wasn't planned or staged. Yeah, that was almost life-changing, to be honest. And so random, right? Like, it's nothing you can plan. And the second tweet, it was about, yeah, there were like two indie hackers who had a fake account, which was a girl, and they pretended to be a girl to get like more traffic to their products, and they created this fake persona. They even had like one-to-one personal connections with people, which is like very unethical. And I found it out. It was like, I don't remember how, but I found it out, and I exposed them in public, and it also went like mini viral, at least in our community. I think that's why a lot of people call me like detective, or used to call me detective. Yeah, those were like my two viral moments.
Yeah, just one question that came to my mind. Why did you decide to solve this fake account? Because it's quite unusual that I'm going to solve this case on Twitter. And what was the trigger? Like, I'm going to solve it.
It was like curiosity. Like I saw a hint. I saw an old tweet from this account, and it was on my timeline. So I didn't look for it. It just was on my timeline, and I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I'm a very curious person. I like to stalk stuff, and I like to look stuff up, and I dig like very deep, and I spent, I don't know, a few hours maybe, and then I made it public, and then other people started to help me. There are like few people who gave me new hints. They also looked it up, and they had like a team of 3 or 4 investigators helping me. And then yeah, we found the 2 guys.
So when you consider these 2 tweets, how these tweets somehow helped you to grow your business, yeah? And what's next? Like you mentioned that you have some opportunities or collaboration offers. How did you proceed with these offers?
You mean like the people who contacted me after the tweet?
Yes.
Yeah, those were like agency clients who looked for, like I have an agency which builds software MVPs for startups, and I think I plugged like an ad under the tweet, under the local host tweet, and it had a lot of impressions, and people just booked meetings, and I proceeded with them like I proceeded with clients before and clients after. I talked with them. They came to me for whole another reasons. We didn't even talk about the local host thing. They probably forgot it. They only saw the ad and were like, oh, that's what I need. And they contacted me. Yeah, very weird marketing, but it worked.
It really brought you paying customers, yeah?
Exactly. It brought me one big client, and he referred me to another client. So if you want to put it into numbers, like 30 to 40K in euros, like a lot. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty random, like
Yeah.
this is something that only life can bring to you, so cool. If I'm right, you live in Germany long term. How do you pursue building public environment in this country?
So my whole Buildinpublic community is like online, right? So it has nothing to do with my surrounding here in Germany. None of my friends know anything about Buildinpublic. I sometimes talk about it and they get very bored. So, but I started, especially when I quit my day job, I wanted to spend more time with people who build in public here in Germany. And I connect with a lot of makers from Twitter. I do like meetings. I did a meeting with you, for example. You were one of the first people. And then I started to meet someone here in Düsseldorf in Germany. And then I had the idea to even to start a meetup in Germany, because it doesn't exist. There are like indie meetups in Lisbon, in Portugal, in England, in London, I think even in France and Spain. But there are no indie founder meetups in Germany. There are a lot of meetups for every kind of stuff, but not for indie founders. So right now I'm just organizing one. I have a group of gathered a group of I think 15 people now, and it's a very small meetup. We'll just go eat something, talk in February, and I'm very excited about this.
It's more unstructured, or do you have some lineup?
No, it's very unstructured. It's just very chill. We just meet up, we eat something, maybe we drink something, we talk, and we will see how it will go.
When did you start with building products, not maybe for other companies, but for more yourself?
I think as a kid, I think my first product, I was like 11 or 12 years old, and I built a football manager game, online game, because I played those all the time, and I wanted to make my own, right? And it was very horrible. It was full of bugs. It didn't work properly. I had maybe, I think, 4 or 5 users, were like friends of mine and people from the internet. This was like the first product I built. And then over the years, like small stuff for the school, for my friends, for me. But yeah, just as a hobby.
You said that in your 12, like, when did you start with coding in general?
I think maybe with 11. Yeah, same age.
Wow. In school or like your parents helped you or?
No, just from the internet. I think when we were 10, we got internet at home, like very late, and I was immediately hooked and was like curious how does this work? And I went to the library, bought like books about it, read it, and then I went to the like to programming forums in the internet, and everyone was like 40 plus years old German man, right? I was the only kid, and I annoyed them. I think you can still Google like Janu and some keywords, and you will find like posts from the 10 or 11 years old Janu asking very dumb questions. There were like no ChatGPT back then, so I had to ask them everything, every error, every bug, and they were very kind and helped me. So this is like how I learned programming.
Yeah, you actually have a lot of experience with building products. From your perspective, is it harder to build a product or run a service, or what brings a better financial outcome?
It's a very interesting question. Like from a financial standpoint, it's probably way easier to build a service because when you are technical, you already have the skills to build something, but you don't have the skills to sell it, right? Like to for marketing, for sales, for whatever niche you want to deliver. You don't have domain expertise. You only are a coder, right? So you can sell this skill. This is something you can always do, and there are always demand for it. So that's probably the easiest way to come to money to build a business. But I think a lot of people want to build a product for themselves because they believe it will give them freedom or it's more fun. But they are two very different kind of businesses.
Actually, you also recently quit your 9 to 5 job, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And I think that you dedicated a lot of time also your side projects, and this your current agency focuses on building an MVPs. Am I right? So, are you running this business alone, or do you have team members or employees, or what's the team collaborations and things like that?
I work with a lot of contractors. I'm running it by myself. I have two good friends who help me with consulting and stuff like that. They are in meetings with clients, but I work with developers. I have one long-term developer on contract. I work with a design agency, and I have a copywriter. So that's my setup. Sometimes I look for extra devs, like especially when I need like special expertise. For example, last year we built a mobile app with Bluetooth, and I needed a developer who has experience with Bluetooth iOS development because we doesn't add the expertise in our team. So that's something I do. So it's very untraditional. I don't have any full-time employees. It's basically just me with teams who switch, and only one dev who is like long-term with me.
Well, so we can move to more interesting topic, which is very hot, and that's money. Could you share your profits from your agency and also for your products?
It's very different, right? Like every month is different. I don't have any long-time contracts. It's something I always try to pursue, but it's only one-off stuff. So the best months are in revenue between 15 and 16,000 euros, and like bad months are like between 7 and 8,000 euros. But that's revenue. Profit is maybe something around 50 to 70%. And the only product I'm running on the site is my website, BoilerplateHub, and it generates between 500 and 1,000 euros.
It's quite a lot, and that's probably why you quit your 9 to 5 job. Could you share techniques you used to scale up your most successful projects?
You mean like for my agency or for everything?
You can divide it into your agency and also for your other projects.
Like for my agency, a lot of luck was involved, right? Because you don't need many clients, you only need a few clients who pay very well. So the viral tweets helped, and me being on Twitter helped. And a lot of clients were like referrals from former clients because we deliver very good work. So I don't have any proper systems or techniques. That's something I'm trying to implement right now because I quit my day job and I need more stability. Because last year when I had a month with 1,000 or 2,000 revenue, no problem. But now it's a problem. So right now I'm learning sales, building a sales pipeline, and all that boring stuff. And for BoilerplateHub, I tried a lot. In the beginning, I tried the classic indie hacker marketing strategies like launching on platforms, posting about it on social media. It worked somehow, but not that much. I made maybe 150 to 200 euros a month. It was more of a hobby. And then I started posting on Reddit, and that helped me a lot. That exploded like the traffic. I posted in subreddits where people hang out who need SaaS boilerplates. To explain it, BoilerplateHub is a website which curates SaaS boilerplates, like starter kits to build SaaS. And I just went to the subreddits, SaaS, Entrepreneur, all the subreddits where people are who want to build SaaS. And I wrote like guides, like very helpful guides about how to build a SaaS, like from a business perspective, but also from a technical perspective. And I just mentioned BoilerplateHub in a sub point, and those guys went like mini viral in the subreddits, and they brought a lot of traffic, even recurring traffic, and also a lot of sales. And I also did a lot of SEO, which also helps, like programmatic SEO. Maybe you saw it in December. I built 12 tools in 12 days to drive traffic to my website, which is also insane. It gives me traffic like every day for free, basically. Some of them even convert. That's basically all the marketing stuff I tried out.
2 points that are very interesting to me. Could you share some tips for Reddit, how to write those posts? Because many people are complain that Reddit is very strict when it comes to posting, and they can be banned, or they can somehow they are not very satisfied with how Reddit works in terms of posting. Like, they can be restricted from using it.
Yeah, it's true, right? It's very restrictive. It's very hard to promote, especially when you don't have the hang out of it. But you need to be very subtle about it. For example, I think a few weeks ago I made a post on Reddit about quitting my day job. I hadn't any intention with it. I just wanted to share it, and it went It was not mini viral. It went very viral in the subreddit Entrepreneur, and I mentioned my agency, but just like in a sentence. I didn't do any promotion, and this post gave me like 5 or 6 leads, and I was very subtle about it, right? Like I told a story about my life, and a lot of people were like excited about my journey. So that's something you can do. You can write a story around your product or service, or you can deliver value, right? Something a lot of people I know do. They hang out in the subreddit where people are who are interesting for you, and they help them. Like there are so many people on Reddit asking questions, are frustrated, and you can just comment and help them deliver a lot of value, and they will go to your profile because they will think, oh, this guy is interesting, he knows something, and they will see your links, they will see your description, and this is also something which can bring you like traffic and even sales, especially because this traffic is like very, very targeted. Those are people who have the pain points you solve, right? So that's also something which is very useful. And something I did, I don't see a lot of people doing it, is like writing guides, like writing very, very helpful stuff and giving away gold nuggets, but mentioning your product or service very, very, very subtle. I never got banned for it, so it seems to work.
And the second question is related to your 12-day challenge. How did this concept work, or could you share more about this initiative?
I did it not for the traffic. I did it for the fun. Like it was something fun I wanted to start. And my initial thought was maybe some of those tools will go viral on social media. That didn't work out because it was like holidays. Not a lot of people were online, and none of the tools went like viral. But I did SEO keyword research for every of those tools. So I used SEO stuff. It's a tool to do like keyword research, and I just looked up keywords for this tool I want to build, and I used it for the website, right? So all of the tools I think are ranking on Google and bring like a lot of traffic. Some of the tools bring like a lot of traffic, but like not good traffic. For example, I built a AI SVG generator, so it builds like a graphic from AI, and it's very horrible. AI is not good with SVG. They look like very horseshit, and it brings a lot of traffic. There are people coming to the website from all over the world. They're using this tool, and they're even asking questions in the support box, but none of them are converting to the website, right? Because they are very unrelated to my main business. But yeah, some of the tools, especially the SaaS related tools, I built like calculators or coding related tools, they convert to the website. So I tried to build tools which are related to my main website.
What are the major lessons you have learned while scaling your tech agency?
Oh, interesting. It's all about connections, right? If you have an agency, you need to do sales, especially when you are one person. You need to do sales. You need to deliver the product. You need to do consulting. You need to do a lot of stuff. So the two biggest learning were for me: you need to outsource. You need people who do stuff you don't have to do. In my case, it's coding. I don't code that much anymore. I have devs, because when I would sit there and had to code everything, it's not possible. I can't deliver that many clients and big projects. So that's one thing I learned. And the other thing is, it's all about connections. You need to find people who are interested and nurture them. And it's like a friendship, right? You need to be in contact with them. It needs to be genuine. You shouldn't be slimy, like old school salespeople who are like they are talking their own sales language. That's not something that works anymore. And you need to find a way you are comfortable with. There's so many different ways for marketing and sales. I know people, they do sales marketing by hanging out on Discord servers. They're just hanging out there talking with people, and they get enough clients to live from it. And other people, they are doing outreach. You need to find a way you are very comfortable with and something you can do long term without feeling wrong, right?
Because when you are in this boilerplate business, don't you think that the market is oversaturated with boilerplate solutions? Like there's too much boilerplate, because I open Twitter and there is another boilerplate, open Product Hunt, another boilerplate. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, there are a lot of boilerplates, and every day there come new boilerplates. But that's the reason I don't build a boilerplate by myself, because it's if you have a niche and you find a niche, good for you. But it's hard to find a niche. That's why I don't build a boilerplate. I think there's a bigger market than most people think, because everyone thinks indie hacker. Everyone tries to sell their boilerplates to other indie hackers, but that market is saturated. Like Mark Lovion took that market, and it's his market. But there's a huge market outside of indie hackers, like small companies who want to build a SaaS product, or even small companies who already have a SaaS product, but they are unhappy or have like already technical debt, and they're also looking for boilerplates. I know a guy who has a SaaS boilerplate. I think it's called Acromatic, and he's a very small guy on X, right? He doesn't have many followers, maybe a few hundred, and he makes a very, very good living from that boilerplate, because he targets like businesses, and he's on LinkedIn, and he's on Reddit, he's on different subreddits, and there's a huge demand for SaaS boilerplates, but it's more about quality. So you should target like B2B companies.
When you are talking about X and also Reddit, can you recommend people other channels or particular channels where you promote your services or products?
I On X, I'm hanging out a lot in the community Buildinpublic. That's something I really like, because you find a lot of people, new people, who join the Buildinpublic community, especially when you are creating content for them. I think that's a good channel to write there. Reddit is always a great channel. There are so many subreddits, so you need to find a subreddit which matches your ideal customer. And I'm not that much on LinkedIn. but I heard a lot of good stuff about it. So yeah.
I will go back for a while again to boilerplate because another question came to my mind related to boilerplates. What makes a good boilerplate outstanding? Like, what is the essence of a good boilerplate?
That's a great question. I think documentation, like a good boilerplate needs good documentation because it's a new code for the person that buys the boilerplate, right? And I saw boilerplates who doesn't have any documentation, which is like a no-go. You can't buy code and don't have a explanation for it. So I think that's one important thing. And like it should be in very good shape. So it shouldn't be. I saw boilerplates by people, even famous people, which looked very messy. And a boilerplate shouldn't be messy because that's the only reason I buy a boilerplate. I don't want any messy code by myself. So yeah, and I always, if you look for a boilerplate, always look for the people who build it. There should be people who are devs by themselves, very technical people with a lot of experience. It shouldn't be like people who just learn code or like more of a indie hacker who builds like very scrappy stuff. So yeah, it's all about quality and documentation.
What advice would you give to people who want to break free from their 9 to 5 jobs and transition to running their own business?
Oh, that's very hard because I just did it and I don't know how I did it. But yeah, build it on the side. Like there are weekends, there are nights. You need to be very passionate about it and build it on the side until it's profitable and then quit. And you should quit, I think, at one point. I know people who are building on the side for a lot of years and I see it makes most of them very unhappy and they are scared to do the jump. And especially when you are young, it's something you should consider. And yeah, but until then, build on the side and make it profitable. Think in business because a lot of technical people they think very technical and they want to build some cool stuff, but they don't think about marketing and sales and business. And that's all so many skills you need to learn before you can quit and go full time, right? So yeah, build on the side.
I think that it's time to cover another topic which is more related to personal life and personal development. And the very first question is related to ADHD because I found one post where you mentioned or said that I later studied computer science to pursue it. It took me almost a decade to graduate because I've got severe ADHD. What has helped you to get over your studies?
Oh, that's a very good question. I never find a solution for my studies, to be honest. I somehow graduated over after a long time, but I figured out for myself it's very important to do stuff you are very excited about. So I never had a problem to focus when it's about my business, about building products, not even in my 9 to 5. Um, in the end, it was hard because I did so much, right? Like building my business on the side. But it's very important for, especially for ADHD people, to do stuff you really, really like. And there is something you really, really like. There are a lot of stuff outside, and studying wasn't very exciting about for me, especially studying computer science in a very old German university, very traditional. It was very full of theories. It was very theoretical, and not. For example, I only programmed once in my studies, like only once, and all the other stuff were like mathematics, logical stuff, and that's not something my brain is very excited about. So when I could talk with the younger Janu, I would tell him, don't study computer science. Maybe study entrepreneurship. Maybe study on a university which is more practical, but don't study this theoretical stuff because I don't need it. I never needed it in my jobs, 9 to 5 jobs, and I don't need it in my business. So it was, I would say, a waste of time in my life. So the best tip I can give to people who have ADHD and can't focus is find something you are very excited about and do only that and nothing else.
This is useful. Thank you for sharing this. Uh, you were actually in more volunteering projects. Why do you think that volunteering is a crucial part of some entrepreneurs?
Um, I did volunteering when I wasn't an entrepreneur. I did it when I was a student, freelancer. It's something I want to do again, especially this year when I because I quit my job and have more time again. It wasn't possible last year. In my case, I teach programming to kids. I like to work with children. They're very curious. They're very open, and they explore stuff differently than adults. And it's very fun to work with them. And they are very funny. They're way more funny than older people. I think it's just it's part of the life, right? You take a lot and you give a lot. When I was younger, people helped me. For example, the older people in the forums who helped me with programming, my parents who helped me, people from my city. And when you are older and in a position you can give back, you should give back. It's a circle, and especially when it's fun, it's a no-brainer thing to do.
You said that you try to help young students voluntarily. Could you share more information about project you were involved?
It were like German projects. I were like in different organizations, but in the end I was in IT for kids. I went to primary schools, like kids between 7 and 8 years, and teach them programming, but like graphical programming. Maybe you saw it. They had like their own software, and it was like through games and we explained them like basic stuff like loops and stuff like that, but like in a graphical way, and they absolutely loved it. And I think it's also good for them for their mental development to understand this kind of concepts, and they like it. Like you don't think they will like it, but they like it, and for them it's a very fun thing to do. They stand up, they had like their own iPads, and they were very excited about it. Some kids had difficulties, but most of them were very excited about it.
When we are talking about kids, how do you see the future of very young people in the era when everything can be done thanks to AI? I think that new generation is used to somehow collaborate with AI tools, but how do you pursue their future when they want to have some work? Because I can see many posts on social media that young people who are juniors will not be more needed, and everybody wants to have seniors. So what's your take on this?
You mean like for children?
Yes, the young generation who will be maybe in 10 or 15 years graduated and need to find a job.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like I already hearing like horror stories about very smart kids who are going to some big university, and they have like an interview, for example, and they struggle to think because they are so used to using ChatGPT all the time for simple questions, for simple stuff, and they are smart and they have like the brain power, but they are addicted to using ChatGPT. That's something I already heard, and it's tech, like it's using tech in general, right? Like for kids, there are so many studies about how it can be damaging in the development for younger children when they're using an iPad too much, for example. It lowers their social skills and empathy and a lot of stuff. And I think parents should be very, very careful about how they approach technical devices to their children. So you can't take them away fully from them because it's part of our life and part of the future. But we should be very careful about it. For example, when you were younger, we weren't allowed to use a calculator, right? Like in the first, 6 grades in the school. It was very good for us. Imagine we were allowed to use a calculator in first class. We couldn't like do like simple math, right? It would be very not good for our brain because it was very important, like when you were 6 or 7, to use your brain to do the simple math so you can develop your brain. Especially like until you are 18 and even after, it's very important to use your brain because it's part of your brain development. And I see myself, even me, I'm using AI way too much for like stuff I shouldn't use AI because I'm too lazy. And I see myself losing certain skills, for example, in coding or other stuff. And everyone should like be very careful about it and decide for yourself, okay, where I want to use AI and where I want to lower the usage of AI. And especially for children, I think it's a very hard challenge. And I don't think I'm the person who should figure out how to solve this. But yeah, I hope there are people who are thinking a lot about this.
And is there any way how would you personally fix it? Because I can see it on myself. I'm trying to learn coding, but ChatGPT did everything for me. Like it gave me the whole code, and I am like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, for me, like I learned coding when there wasn't any AI, right? Like 15 years ago. But for example, in my team in FeatherFlow, my agency, I have a junior developer who started coding maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and he started using AI a lot, and that messed up our whole infrastructure and stuff because he prompted way too much and depended way too much on AI. And I figured it out. I had to talk with him, and I asked him, and he was very genuine about it. And we set up some ground rules. You can use AI for stuff, but you need to read everything you prompt and understand everything you prompt. That's very important for you and very important for the result, because AI fucks up sometimes and AI does mistakes. And especially as a junior developer, you want to learn. You want to learn from the stuff you are building, and you want to learn from the existing code base. So you have to read, you have to understand the concept, the structure, and yeah, you shouldn't be a prompter. You want to be a developer.
Now I have a question related to personal development. That how has this entrepreneurial journey changed you personally, and what habits or mindset have been crucial for your success?
Let me think about it. I think it made me more confident in myself, because you have to be confident to do some steps. Because I see a lot of people on X who are struggling with, I don't know, I'm not sure about this. Will this work out? And you have to be a little bit of Delulu. You have to be a little bit of delusional. And I was always a little bit delusional since I'm a child, but now I'm using it for myself. And you need to be a risk taker. Sure, the risk have to be calculated. You shouldn't be stupid, but you need to take risk. You need to be bold. You shouldn't be afraid of losing stuff. And I think, yeah, it gave me a lot of courage the last few years. That was probably the biggest step, and simultaneously, it was the biggest trait I had to learn to do entrepreneurship.
You said that you need to be a Delulu and also be aware that you are going to take some risks. So I think that with all of these things, there are also failures, like something that that's not ideal for you, but also you need to have some challenge. So how do you overcome, or what has been your biggest failure or setback, and what did you learn from it?
For my agency, for example, last year, I took a client and I wasn't very sure I can deliver that project. And I had a bad gut feeling about that client. And that project, I don't want to go into details, but that project didn't work out very well. The client wasn't a very good client. And I think the biggest learning from that is you need to trust your gut when it's about people. When you have someone in a meeting, discovery call, who is very weird, who acts weird, you should be bold enough to say no, or you should have the you should trust yourself. And that's very important, because I see a lot of people who see the money, they see the big project, and they, for example myself, and they ignore all the red flags. And yeah, you should trust your gut when it's about people, especially when it's about people.
Okay, I think that it's time to cover the last part of this interview, last 3 or 4 questions. And the very first is, why did you lose your driver's license?
You're actually the first person asking me. Okay, it's a very embarrassing story. It was, I think, 2 years ago, and I was on a party. I was drunk. I didn't drive with the car drunk, but I drove a e-scooter and was drunk. And I didn't think a lot about it, because when I was younger, I was so often on bikes when I was drunk, right? It's a normal thing to do. And it was very late, maybe 4 a.m. there were no one on the street, and then a police car came. They saw me, and yeah, you can think the rest yourself. And they took my driver license for a year. I had to pay a lot of money. It was horrible, but yeah, you learn from it.
It's also a good experience, I think.
No, it wasn't a good experience. I think it was horrible because I couldn't drive in the car anymore. My girlfriend had to drive me everywhere like a mother. Yeah, it was horrible.
Okay, it's not a good experience, but it's a good story.
Yeah, it's a good story. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what are your future plans for this year or maybe something long term?
I think a few days ago I brought up all my yearly goals, and I think like the main goal this year business wise is probably making sure I can be an entrepreneur my whole life, so I don't have to go back into selling my time. That's probably my main goal, and I want to do it mainly by making my agency more steady, and like I also have a lot of personal goals. For example, I want to run a marathon this year. I want to lose my back pain. That's a very important thing. Like health is very important, especially now where I'm a full-time founder. It's very important. Last time I neglected my health a lot because I had my day job, my agency, and I spent way too much time working, and my health went down. So that's something I want to fix. I want to. I already started with doing sports a lot. I think I'm doing sports almost every day. I'm eating healthy. I'm moving more. I don't work 80 hours a week anymore. I think that's the only way to do this long term. Otherwise, you will go down in 1 or 2 years, and that's not. That's also mentally, right? Like the mental health is very important, but it starts with your body. So that's something I want to prioritize this year and yeah, all the years after.
Okay, I'm rooting for you because health is very crucial. Once I heard that the only thing you need is health, and the other things you can create on your own. So good to know.
Yeah.
The last thing, some motivational thoughts at the end of the episode. Like, do you have something you could pass on our listeners and viewers?
I can give an advice for like indie hackers, especially because I have a lot of them in my community, and I chat with them a lot, and I help them. And something I see a lot is people have very a lot of ideas. They are very creative and they are capable in technical terms, and but they don't start something and go along with it. So they switch projects. They are very messy, and something everyone should do once in their journey is picking one project you are excited about and go with it. Like build it, market it, give yourself time, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, maybe even a year, and you will see stuff you never saw before because you never went along so long with the project. So that's very important advice to give people. Just start.
This knowledge with not only me but also people who watch this episode. And yeah, I want to thank you for being here, and also thank you to our listeners and viewers. I hope that everyone enjoys this, and I want to invite people to follow your journey on your social media, Twitter especially, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel so they can see more upcoming interviews. And yeah, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Nika.